and welcome to McIver's Grant Public Library's Week of Reading. We are so excited to be joining volunteers all around the community who are sharing their favorite books to celebrate the power of sharing a book with a child. Our Week of Reading is an expanded version of our Night of Reading that we usually do on the first Monday of March. This year, instead, because we're having to do it virtually, we are stretching it across the entire week. We'll have 3 story times every single day this week, and McIver's Grant Public Library is moving its story time back an hour. It'll be an hour earlier so that we can join in the fun. So because of that, Miss Vanessa wants to read one of her very favorite picture books. And I think books that we read this week should be fun and wonderful, but they should also have a message, and that's what I love about the book Bloom by Doreen Cronin. It's one of my very favorite books. It has a fairy in it, but it's not a book just for girls. And it's by Doreen Cronin and David Small. And it says, "A mud fairy, an extraordinary ordinary girl, and a castle in peril." Let's find out what Bloom is about. This book was published by Atheneum Books for Young Readers. And there's a picture of Bloom right there. Once upon a time in a beautiful glass kingdom, there lived an unusual fairy named Bloom. Her boots were caked with mud. There was dirt between her teeth. Beetles rested in her wings. Bloom's magic could spin sand into glass, turn weeds into blossoms, and grow a trickle of rainwater into a racing river. Bloom was a helpful creature, but her footprints were heavy. I'm going to show you something about this book real quick. I like how see how those words are all different sizes? So it helps you when you're reading it to read what needs to be read big and what needs to be read so little. Bloom was a helpful creature, but her footprints were heavy, and she left a trail of cracks and mud everywhere she went. And there's the glass kingdom and Bloom. Do you think if you left mud every place you went and cracks, do you think that you would be very comfortable in a glass kingdom? As the years passed and the kingdom became larger and shinier, and the people cared less about Bloom's magic and noticed only the mess she left behind, they complained about her heavy feet and her muddy footprints. Bloom had finally had enough. Have you ever had enough? She had enough. She left without saying goodbye and went to live in the heart of the forest. Both the kingdom and Bloom were extraordinarily happy with the choice she made. There's Bloom leaving the kingdom. Years and years went by, and the glass kingdom had fallen into a state of disrepair. It was held together by duct tape and glue and peasants. The king was reminded of the powerful creature who had once lived in the kingdom. His royal court offered to find her, but the king declined their help. "Surely a creature with such power will answer only to a king," he said. "Very well, your highness, but tread lightly. Fairies are delicate and easily frightened," advised the court. And there we have the king on his steed running away into the forest to find Bloom. And there is his castle. And can you see that it is already cracked and fallen apart and having trouble? You see all the peasants trying to hold things together. The king entered the forest on his swiftest steed, determined to find the creature and save his kingdom. Bloom felt the horse's hoofbeats and came to greet the king. And there again, we've got such big, grand writing for when the when the king talks. He says, "I am looking for a magical creature gone so many years ago," he announced. "I am here," said Bloom. The king glanced at Bloom with her dirty hair and her clunky shoes. Clunky shoes. See how they've got the words big right there, clunky? "Show me the magic that will save my kingdom," ordered the king. Bloom placed a bucket of mud at the king's feet. "How dare you!" bellowed the king. He dismissed Bloom as a trickster and rode off. "Suit yourself," said Bloom, perfectly happy to go back to her own business. See how those words go down like she's just skipping away. When the king returned empty-handed many days later, the queen decided that she was much better suited to find a magical fairy. Maybe your deep voice frightened her off, she said, reassuringly. I must go in your place. There's the queen, comforting the king, and look at her dress. Oh, it goes all the way up, back up the stairs, and look at all of the people that are holding her dress. And there we've got some things that are breaking because the kingdom is still falling into disrepair, and they have an umbrella because there's rain coming in through the top of the ceiling because it's all broken up. The next day, she entered the forest, accompanied by a single guard. Bloom heard their footsteps and, once again curious, stepped out to greet the queen. And there's the queen's big fancy writing. I am looking for a magical creature gone so many years ago, announced the queen. I am here, answered Bloom. There she is. Show me the magic that will save my kingdom, ordered the queen. Bloom placed a bucket of mud at the queen's feet. There's the queen. There's her. Remember how far her dress went back? Now there's just one person to hold it. There's her attendant helping her with her dress. How do you think the queen is going to like having a bucket of mud set at her feet? How dare you, said the queen. She dismissed Bloom as a trickster and rode off. Have it your way, said Bloom, and she picked up her bucket and skipped back to where she had come from. I like how they do that. Skip back to where she came from. What of the magical creature? Asked the king upon the queen's return. Broken glass crunched under her feet as she crossed the room. Rain fell from the cracks in the ceiling. Clearly it is too frightened to talk directly with royalty, answered the queen. We must send somebody ordinary. Genevieve was exactly that. And there, I'm going to show you. So far I've been able to show you all kinds of words that are bigger. I want you to look at how small that word is. Smallest. She's the smallest and the quietest in the kingdom. Her only job in the palace was to collect, wash, and dry the queen's exquisite crystal sugar spoon, the only object in the kingdom that had not yet cracked. The queen summoned Genevieve to her chambers and explained the dire situation. You are our last hope, she said kindly. And there is how Genevieve talks. Look how tiny that writing is. She says, I will not fail you, my queen, Genevieve said in her tiny voice. She brushed the broken glass out of her hair, packed a small bag, and left for the forest. And there's Genevieve, tiny as she is, going into the forest to look for Bloom. That's very brave for somebody who doesn't leave the palace ever. Genevieve traveled through the dark woods without a carriage or a guard. Bloom heard the sound of her feet pressing into the ground and stepped out to greet the girl. I am looking for a magical creature gone so many years ago, said Genevieve. There is Genevieve. And there is Bloom. And Bloom says, I am here, said Bloom. Look how big she talks. Have you any magic to save my kingdom? Bloom placed a bucket of mud at the girl's feet. Perhaps if I explain, said Genevieve. You see, our kingdom is built of glass, and it's falling to pieces. Bloom placed a shovel in front of Genevieve. I'm happy to help you with your chores, of course, but perhaps you can show me the magic first, Genevieve said. She's not offended, is she? Bloom studied the tiny girl for a moment. She was so delicate, she had barely left a footprint behind her. What is your work in the kingdom? Asked Bloom. I collect, wash, and dry the queen's crystal sugar spoon, Genevieve told her. Is that all you can do? Said Bloom, hoping she didn't sound very harsh. See how big that is? I think she sounded a little harsh. Actually, I'm not really sure, said Genevieve. It's all I'm allowed to do, lest my hands get too rough or dirty to properly care for the spoon. So not only can Genevieve do that, that's all she's allowed to do. She can't leave the castle. She can't touch anything else. Why would the king and queen send a delicate child with such a delicate job deep into the forest to do something they could not? Bloom asked. There's Bloom asking. There's Genevieve, and there's Genevieve's teeny little words. Because I'm ordinary, answered Genevieve. Ordinary. Sometimes when people say you're ordinary, it makes you feel little like those words, doesn't it? Does it make somebody feel good if you tell them they're ordinary? Not usually. A dark shadow passed over Bloom's face. She picked up her bucket, picked up her shovel, and she took the girl by the hand. I will show you the magic that will save your kingdom, she said. And look, there they are, walking away. Bloom led the girl into a clearing with a small house, a working fire, and an enormous pit of mud. She plunged both hands into the pit. See the word plunged, how big that is? She hurled, look at how that word looks like it's actually being thrown, like the word hurled means, the brown glob onto the ground and quickly made a mud pie. Can you see all that they were doing? Now, you try, said Bloom. I mustn't, said Genevieve. I'll never be able to touch this queen's sugar spoon again. Do you want to save your kingdom? Bloom asked her. What do you think she should do? Should she do it? What do you think? Genevieve did not want to fail the queen. She closed her eyes, stuck her hands in the bucket, and pulled out a scoop of wet, gloppy earth. Nervously, she shook her hands, and the mud fell to the ground, splattering everywhere. Not bad, Bloom said with a smile. Genevieve laughed and brushed the spatters from her skirt. Now try again, Bloom encouraged. This time Genevieve enjoyed the cool, shifting feel of the mud, so different from the delicate spoon. She flung it on the ground. There's flung it on the ground, exactly as Bloom had. Nicely done, said Bloom. Smiling, Genevieve shaped the mud into a small, round pie. Perfect, announced Bloom. Now, let's make some magic. Did you know that you can make magic with mud? That's the most wonderful thing in the world to know. Genevieve watched Bloom as she shaped one of the mud pies into a perfect brick. She pulled back her hair with her muddy fingers, rolled up her sleeves, and tried to do the same. She made a lopsided, lumpy, oval brick. You'll get it, said Bloom. After 16 more tries, Genevieve made a perfect brick. What else can I do? Asked the girl. You'll see, said Bloom. Shovel after shovel, bucket after bucket, she showed Genevieve how to add straw into the mud. That made the bricks even stronger, and when her pile of bricks towered over her head, Genevieve was not tired at all, just eager to do more. Bloom showed her how to make mortar by mixing mud with sand. What's that for? Genevieve asked. You'll see, Bloom told her. And brick by brick, row by row, wall by wall. Let's see what they did. You see Genevieve making that wall? The fairy and the girl built a sturdy house in the middle of the forest. See that sturdy house they built? I can't believe what we've done, said Genevieve. Look at Genevieve's writing. Look how big her words are. Her voice has grown a lot while she was been with Bloom, hasn't it? You must go back to the kingdom and share your magic, said Bloom. But how can I bring back a house? Asked the girl. You can't. You can only tell the king and queen what you can do, said Bloom. They will never believe an ordinary girl could do such an extraordinary thing, Genevieve worried. What will I tell them? This is one of my very favorite pictures in this whole book. I want you to look really closely at Bloom and her face and Genevieve's face. She's very serious, isn't she? Tell them there is no such thing as an ordinary girl, said Bloom. Can you say that really loud for me? Can we say that together one more time? There is no such thing as an ordinary girl. Is that true? It is true. We're all special, aren't we? There's nobody who's ordinary. What about boys? Are boys ordinary? No. Boys are special too, so let's do that. There's no such thing as an ordinary boy. Let's say it together. 1, 2, 3. There is no such thing as an ordinary boy. Bloom is very smart, isn't she? Genevieve returned to the kingdom. Her feet were caked in mud. There was dirt between her teeth. Beetles were resting in her hair. She knocked on the palace door and it shattered to pieces. I am here, she announced. She's changed a little bit when she was in the forest. Look at the glass all around where she knocked on the door. Then an ordinary girl rebuilt a kingdom. And there is a kingdom made of brick. It'll be much sturdier than glass, won't it? And there is a girl who is not ordinary at all. Are you ordinary? And there she is sitting on the throne. There's Bloom. You see Bloom with her wings sitting on the throne and all the dirt on the floor in front of her. I love this book. Why do I love this book? You tell me. What did it teach us today when we read it? There are no ordinary people. Everybody has gifts. Everybody can work together and make the world a better place, can't they? I love this book. I'm so glad that you're joining us this week for our week of reading. I'm so glad that you joined me today for Storytime Tuesday. And I look forward to seeing you again next week. And please write your name in the comments below the video. And we're going to do live drawings at 4:30 every day, okay, with door prizes. All right, have a wonderful day. See you later.